Hey gang, time for the Genre Files, and this week is animation. I chose The Death of Superman for a couple reasons. One, because comic books are very near and dear to my heart. Superheroes are very near and dear to my heart. And I really wanted to watch this when I got it. I have to say I was very impressed with how they handled it. I can't say it was spot on because that's a little hard, but it was damn good. They really did a good job with this. I remember when the comic book came out, it was such a huge deal that I don't know who all knows this, but my wife and I own a comic book store in our town, and it's not a really big town at all, so it's not a really big comic store. But I remember back in the day when this came out, how big of a deal it was. Nothing had really been that big a deal in modern comics to like people were like flocking to it. Like we had people standing around the corner for this, and that's very unheard of. There was limitations on how many you could buy. Everywhere there, no matter where you went, there was limitations. I remember shortly after it coming on sale, going to a comic book convention, just randomly, because we do these all the time, and seeing these go for outrageous prices. I mean, just a few weeks after it came out, I seen a guy standing up on a table with one that's like $50. I have one last copy. Nobody pays $50 for it. I'm gonna rip it in half, and people were buying it. I mean, it was crazy. These things were going for so much money, it wasn't even funny. And the story behind this was, at the time, DC Comics was not doing so good. It was, Marvel was outselling, but especially Superman. The Superman titles had really dropped in price, and due to this, they had a meeting. I have a state trooper pulling by me. He's done. Anyway, they had a meeting about, what do we do to boost the sales of Superman? How do we do it? And the story goes, somebody randomly comes up, why don't we kill him? Kill Superman. Whether it was a joking fashion or whatever, and they're thinking, wow, how do we do this? How can we make this work for us? Now, at no time did anybody think that Superman was going to be gone forever. That's ridiculous. This is the #1 selling most recognizable superhero in the entire world. He's right up there with, if you went anywhere in the world, he's right up there with Jesus and Mickey Mouse, that they would recognize Superman. And so there wasn't going to be anything happen to him. But when the death happened and all these people flocked, people that don't even collect comics, this was like one of the first comic book that just regular everyday people were flocking to buy on newsstands and stuff, to have this Death of Superman. And it was really the first time that something this big had happened, and everybody wanted it. It was a great story. The animated film that came out, which, like I said, is really good, could not even come close to covering all of the stuff that happened in this. And I'm not saying that like it didn't hold up to the story. It didn't even come close to as grand or anything like that. No, I'm saying that there's no way it could have covered as much stuff as the storyline did. Not the issue that he died in, but there was a storyline to this, and it went through a bunch of different comics. Like, I don't know how familiar you guys are with comic books, but like say there's a storyline in DC Comics. Now, it'll be a 6-part story, but they'll be split up into different books. And at the time, you know, maybe it went, because I don't remember the story, the books it was in, but part 1 might be Justice League, then part 2 Batman, part 3 Green Lantern, part 4, you know, and at the time there were a few different Superman titles, you know. There was Superman, Superman of Steel, Action Comics, you know, different Superman titles. So they were all in different books. So you had to collect all of the books for the main story. And then you had the Death of Superman issue. Now, if you want to read this, the Death of Superman actual issue is not worth very much at all anymore. You might find it for $20, and that would be a high price. Out of the plastic bag that it came in a really nice black plastic bag with a beautiful cover on the front of it. If you find it outside of that bag so that you can read the story, you might pay $2 or $3 for it. If you find it still sealed in that bag, upwards of $20 is an expensive price. It's a high price. But anyway, they do make graphic novels with the entire story, and then there's a story after it called The Reign of Superman, which is the next DC film, where we talk about the people that are coming to take Superman's place for Earth, and we'll get into that when that film comes out. But this one touches on, you know, the character of Doomsday, who is a villain that has come to Earth and is just wreaking havoc. All of the Justice League participate in this. He is just going through the Justice League like they're not even there. You know, Batman, he gives Wonder Woman, you know, whatever, Green Lantern, you know, tests them all to their limits, and then Superman, who at this time is the first villain, first foe that has ever really, you know, given him all he's got. You see Superman at the end of his, at the end. This is his limit. He's given this guy everything he has. The animation in this is flawless. The voice acting is really nice. I believe Superman was Jerry O'Connell, which was fine. The story was put together so well. DC has done an amazing job with these animated films. They're some of my favorite superhero things to have come out in the past, 10 or 15 years. Even though, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is out there, this has just been fantastic. I mean, very, 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 very good. So I highly recommend The Death of Superman, no matter how you get to watch it. It is worth it, even if you've not read the comic books. This is the most iconic superhero in the world, and this is one of the best stories that have ever been told with him. So make sure you get the chance to see this. So that's it. Genre Files animation in the books. Later.